Let's kick off the AdCom meeting. The chairman's not here, so I will be stepping in as vice chair, and let's get it rolling. Straight to the agenda, unless anybody has any comments or questions. All right, first agenda item, approval of prior meeting minutes. So those were mailed out a few weeks ago. We didn't get any questions. I'm going to give you one more chance.
Looks good.
No, they were good.
All right, good. Do we have a motion?
I move approval.
Second?
Nice. All in favor? All right, got that, Dan?
Yeah.
All right, with Larry not here, we are moving much more quickly. He's going to see this on TV. All right.
You can set a new record here, Mr.
Bill, you are up next to talk about the reserve fund
I
transfers.
want to try and make this as quick as I can, too. So, the good news is that I was indicating earlier, this is probably the lowest amount I've ever transferred in my life in this process. So, about almost $31,000, which out of an $85 million budget is almost unheard of. So, you think we're trying to figure out, calculate it, it's like 0.0003%. So, it's like one of the smallest numbers possible. So, these are things that we have to transfer at the end of the year. It's something that the town manager has the ability to do, but I've always, in the process, I've always kept everybody informed, because I don't want anybody to think I'm trying to just move money around for the sake of doing it. I've given you a detailed listing of all the transfers that we did, and it just cleans up the budget by the end of the year, so we don't have any deficits in any of the lines. The detailed memo is before you. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them for you to the extent I can. And if not, George and Maria are here as well, so we'll try and address it that way too. So that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Well, as they take a look at it, you warned us the unemployment was probably going to be a bigger piece of that. That's
Yeah, and so we got a little bit of a break on that one, because we actually got a credit of about $11,000 in May, but we don't know what the number for June is yet, and so we have to wait. So we put some extra money there just in case. The good news is that some of that stuff got offset by federal money, and also some of the false claims that were floating out there have come back, and they've deleted them, and so we don't have as much of a potential impact there. A lot of the claims that came in were just not real claims. Okay. But we did have a few, and so we dealt with those.
Okay.
Can I ask, is the town subject to normal Massachusetts unemployment like any other employer, or is there kind of a different path?
So we pay as we go. So this is not, we don't pay an unemployment tax. So what happens is that we just pay the bill when it comes in.
Yeah.
If somebody makes a claim, we have the ability to appeal it. If you know, and there are different ways in which you can appeal it. Ultimately, if we let a person go and it's because of poor performance, they actually are considered eligible.
Right.
If we if we let them go for cause, then we can challenge that claim if they make a claim on us.
And has the town been hit with any fraudulent claims? Because I know that's been a big thing.
We did have a few,
Yeah.
but every one of those we've challenged.
Right.
And we do use a third party called UTMC. Is the company that we use, and they're very good, by the way. They're probably one of the better agencies in the state. And they have a good reputation for following up on these things, and they did a good job. The problem that the state had was that they had so many claims coming through that overburdened the system.
Yeah.
And so it made it difficult for them to get through all those. So we're starting to see those things rectify themselves now, but generally speaking, we came through it pretty good.
Thank you.
All right.
Questions?
So only 7,000 is being taken from the reserve fund for this?
No, actually, you already did that change. That was the reserve fund you did at the last meeting.
That was
So,
the recreation.
The recreation, that was for the recreation amount? 7,000.
Here, so I was.
Yeah, it says 68, there's 68,000 left in the account. Yeah.
I think you mentioned at the beginning, you said it was this is reserve fund transfers. This is really internal transfers.
These are town manager transfers, yeah.
As opposed to the reserve fund that you did last week.
So we're,
Money within the departments?
Yes.
that's right.
Right.
We move from one line to the next. So there was 60, so the statute reads that the town manager at the end of the day can move up to 3% of the budget for various lines internally. So we can do that without having to go back to town meeting or for further review, further approval.
You can actually go higher,
Yeah.
5.
Up to 5%, sorry, but I stand corrected. I thought it was 3, but
So nothing's coming
maybe a little more relief.
So nothing's coming up from the reserve fund?
No, the reserve fund, we're gonna turn back to free cash, so it'll be 68,000 going back.
That's good.
I also had good news earlier that the school committee, looks like they're gonna end up finishing in the green as well, and looking to turn back anywhere from $500,000 to $600,000
Really?
back to free cash. That's something that you don't see normally, so.
That's good.
So they're very, very good about doing that.
Don't forget the one that we always forget, but is the big one is the.
Yeah, it was the health
savings.
insurance. So,
Health
so,
insurance.
yeah, so we saved, thank you, George. We actually made real hay with the health insurance this year because we received actually two insurance holidays during the past year. There was one that we got in September of this past year, and then, which is the same fiscal year as we're in. And then we had another one in June, where the one in June, and one in September was only for half the month, but then the one in June was for the whole month. But we didn't have to pay health insurance rates to Maya. And on top of that, the employees didn't have to pay either. So both employees and the employer were benefited by that. And that nets out to be somewhere about close to $1 million, $1.2 million.
1.1, 1.2, something like that.
Yeah. So that goes right back to free cash. So it was good.
Did you need Larry to sign the last page of this?
Yeah, we have Larry, and he said, he called me and said that he would sign it tomorrow, but he didn't have any questions. He said that I was fine, he said he was fine with it, so.
All right, I'm not seeing any more questions. Motion to approve?
Second.
Okay.
I'll start it.
There you go.
I was posing a question really there. That's
There you
fine.
go.
All in favor?
There you go. All right, thank you very
All right.
much.
Thanks,
So
Bill.
you all have a great summer. I want to say thank you for all your work this year. This was a good year, all things considered, you know. We managed to make it through okay. I think we're going to be okay financially. Don't see any red flags at this point.
Not yet.
You know, we're, I know you always say not yet because, but generally speaking, we don't anticipate any either for that matter, so we're in pretty good shape, so.
I would add on top of that, this is only my third year on the committee, but the budget book this year and sort of the supporting documentation was excellent.
Thank you,
Really was very good.
thank you.
Much better than the previous year.
Yeah, no, we definitely have improved that process, and we appreciate all your efforts to notice that as well as, you know, help us get through that.
So thank you for that, including Marie, who I see way back there.
He's hiding behind everybody back there, so, yeah.
All right, thank you, Bill.
She's really responsible for that, so. All right, thank you
Thank
all
you.
very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
Work is done. Thank you.
Frank,
See you in the fall.
you are up.
All right.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I asked Larry just for a few minutes, just to be able to come in and thank everyone on the committee for their hard work for the last year. It was a very unusual year, as I know all you know, but this committee put in the time and effort required to get it all done. And I know the town very much appreciates it, because you have a great impact on the town meeting, but also how the town is run. As I've told probably everyone on this committee before you come on, this committee is not a policy-setting committee. It doesn't set policy. Selectmen sets policy, school committee sets policy. It's not a policy committee setting committee, but it can have a great impact on the policy. And I thought, and how it's affected, and I thought this committee this year did a very good job on that, specifically with the budget, as to how the budget came forward. And this committee, I thought, really got ahead of it. We didn't have a fall town meeting, which probably helped, but I thought that had a great impact on how the budget was initially put together and presented to you, and how the process went, and how it eventually got in front of a town meeting. Not all committees do that, not all advisory committees. Sometimes they just wait for it to come to them and then give their opinion. I think it's a good thing if this committee can get in front of it, really indicate to the policy setting boards or committees, whether it's the Board of Selectmen or the school committees or the planning board, with regard to what you're thinking and how you think things should be done. So that was my main reason for coming here tonight, because I've been talking to both Larry and previously Bernard about how they could move forward with how to affect policy. And I thought they and this board did a very good job. So I just want to come here tonight and thank you all and wish you all a good summer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
see you in September, not before.
Yeah, I would add the conversations with the departments were very good. Everybody came in with a lot of information. The conversations in the actual meeting were good. Some give and take, so.
Yeah, and I think that came from this committee, but also the leadership, was shown, but not just by the chairman, vice chairman, but by all members. So again, I thought it was a very good year, and I thought it went very smoothly, and I thought the budget worked out well.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, go for it.
Do you know of or anticipate any changes from the legislature that would affect meeting laws or anything else that were, things that may be suspended or reactivated or changed from this fiscal year?
Not that I've heard of, there may be that I haven't heard of, but I think, in all sorts of ways that we've lived, things are going to change,
Right.
so I wouldn't be surprised. I'm sorry?
I didn't know if I was pushing anything yet. The fact that we're back here in the room, being able to conduct business as normal and be able to potentially have more people come in probably in the fall with more relaxation of whatever rules. I just didn't know if that was co-committing with any kind of changes by the legislature that they're enacting, saying, yeah, you can have this open meeting, but you can only have so many people, or if there's restrictions that way, or.
To my knowledge, I don't think there's any more restrictions with regard to how many people can be in here, except for building code and things like that. But that's how it is today. Who knows what's going to be like in the fall? We have to just, see how things go. But if everything goes smoothly, I wouldn't be surprised if there are some changes with regard to how things are run because of what we've learned in the last year.
I think acknowledge the fact that because of all this, the cameras will be on for going forward.
Yep.
From here on out. And this is a committee that was never videotaped or
Yeah.
filmed before, and so now that we're in this, it's probably something we can't go back on. I'm not looking to
Yeah.
fight that. I just want to know that anything that comes out of that.
Well, that'll be something I'll talk with the leadership about for next year, because prior to this year, these meetings were never televised, and it's really a committee-by-committee decision. So next year, this committee can decide, we're not going to be televising anymore. And it went for televised because you guys went to Zoom, and that's how people were able to get in, either through Zoom or by watching it. But on a going forward basis, I'd advise the committee next year to make their own decision, because there are a lot of different issues. This committee has considered it in the past and asked me to come in. I've spoke about it, and each time decided not to do it for a number of different reasons. So, I wouldn't say that's set in stone next year. I would advise the leadership to bring it in front of the committee next year, the committee to discuss it, and then make your own decision on it. There are pros and cons both ways for it, so I think that's just something that should be considered next year.
Okay, I just wasn't sure if that was being taken out of our ability to make a decision or not.
No, that's still in your, and I'm sure some of the boards and committees that went to the Zoom are going to go back to, it not being live anymore. Just like some towns still are doing all their meetings Zoom. None of their meetings are, held in person still, and that's on a town-by-town basis.
Thank you.
Is there any legal reason we couldn't, say, televise all the budget presentation, the committee, the presentations of the committee, but all the housekeeping stuff not bother with, or?
Well,
is that
once you, if
either
you're
or?
going to do a meeting on cable, I would say the whole meeting has to be.
Oh, not individual
Cable.
meetings, but we have a very intense period where all the departments come in and present to us,
Yeah.
which I've gotten a ton of feedback on as being useful. And then there's a lot of other ones that nobody watches because frankly, we're just doing housekeeping stuff.
Yeah.
So can we do it catch as catch can, or do you think need to?
You could, but my recommendation would be either you do it all or
All or
none.
nothing? Okay.
I mean, that's the same with the school committee, or the board of selectmen.
Yeah.
They have their issues that you watch, and the other ones you fall asleep to, whether you're there or at home. So,
Not us, Frank. All right, anything else?
all right, I just want to thank you
That's
again.
great, thank you so much.
Have a great summer, everyone.
Thank you, Frank.
Hang on before you get up. Am I allowed to move agenda items in terms of order? Because there's this audit and personnel board thing on the agenda, which I'm not 100% conversant with. I know we're looking for people to put on them, but I'm not sure.
So what's your question, if you can move things around?
Yeah, can I just go to 2 topics down and do that?
You could, my recommendation
Is
is,
not to do that. Okay, I may ask you another question in about 10 minutes
about what?
about the audit and personnel board
Yep,
committees, so,
He's asking you to stick around.
Yeah, just hang around.
Take care of something, then he wants to ask you a question.
okay. I will stick around.
all right, thank you.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, Frank.
All right, advisory committee chair, vice chair voting. So, I guess the question is, who wants in? Who's raising their hand? So I'm interested in being the chair.
I'll second
One
that.
at a time.
Oh, well, let's just find it, okay,
One at a time.
right, but let's find out who's interested first, right? So,
So,
Who's interested in chair?
yep,
I'll run for chair. I want to
Okay.
make it interesting.
all right. All right,
So
sounds
can I make a nomination?
Sure,
I'll nominate Paul.
thank you.
Then we can second it.
yeah, second, Paul. Yep.
I'm going to nominate my opponent, Dan.
I'll second that.
I see a chair and a vice chair right there, actually.
Okay, well, let's have a vote. All in favor, it's a little awkward sounding, all in favor of me, raise their hands.
Sure.
And all in favor of Dan. And you have to take the note, you have to take the minute on that.
Oh, no.
Dan, are you interested in being vice chair?
I am.
You are, okay.
Excellent.
Anybody else interested in being vice chair? Tom? All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and nominate Dan for vice chair.
Second.
Thank you.
Yep.
I'm going to go ahead and nominate Paul.
Tom?
Tom?
Close enough. Taking minutes is hard, right?
Multitasking.
I'll second Tom. All right, all in favor of Dan? All in favor of Tom?
Close.
I'm going to have to vote for myself.
Okay. Close call. All right, so we have a new chair and vice chair.
Okay.
Last topic. So, Frank, the reason I wanted you to hang around is Larry and I had some phone conversations about these two committees. There's the audit committee, which I am on right now, and then there's the personnel board, which Dennis is on, and he is not here. So I think Frank Larry wanted to see if other people were interested in the board, but I don't actually know what the terms are for those boards or what the appointment process is, so,
Well, the audit committee is for a 3-year term,
okay.
but typically, it's one of the members on the advisory committee,
Okay,
and it can change year to year.
Okay.
You know, so I have an appointment on the audit committee, it's a 3-year term. I really don't know if the initial intent was for the advisory committee to appoint a non-member or a member. You could
Okay.
read it either way. It's been, historically, it's been a member of the advisory committee. It's usually for a 3-year term,
okay,
but the people usually change, you know, every year or two. It's rare that somebody's on it for 3 years
okay.
in a row. The personal wage board, I don't know if Bill's still here. I don't know how often that really meets or how much effect it has.
Okay.
But that's pretty much the same thing.
So
You know,
it
it's on a
could-
yearly basis.
When I looked up the Personnel Wage Board about a year ago, because I was on it 40 years ago, and I saw that it was only meeting once a quarter
The personal wage,
now.
the personal wage or the audit, I'm sorry.
Personal Wage Board
Yeah.
was very seldom meeting.
Some
As-
years it didn't meet at all, I know.
Yeah, but the description I saw online suggested that it was about every 3 months that it was being held. So it didn't seem to be very active.
I was on the personal wage when it was, when the whole unionization was going on here in town, about 5-6 years ago. And just a point, because we realized at that point, we're fulfilling the requirement of putting an advisory committee person on it. And so with the change of leadership here with the new town manager and the assistant and the negotiations with the union, I ended up being on it. And we were meeting monthly at that point, but that was because a lot of stuff was happening quickly. At the same time, they're also instituting that whole new HR policy procedures and that kind of stuff, because there was no real, everything was departmental before that. They wanted to have a completely town-wide. But after about 2 years, after the union vote and that stuff, I've been here, and we really haven't appointed anybody to that board, nor have I known anybody to say, we need your representation here.
So
calling out the
personnel,
Meetings.
I thought Dennis
So-
was on it.
Dennis,
Dennis Keefe.
okay.
Yeah.
This year?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm saying in the last couple of years prior,
Okay.
we
Oh.
really hadn't had anybody, or at least anybody reporting back to us that was going on with that.
My recommendation is wait until
The new committee's.
the
formed. Okay, yeah,
new
yeah.
default to put those members on.
I think Larry put it on.
And you could
Go ahead.
really talk with Bill Keegan as to how much they meet and what they do. Back when Kevin Pecos was the town manager, he took a real position that the personal wage board had no authority, that it all came under him. And there was a real tug of war at one time as to whether they did or didn't. Also out of that, a lot of, at the time, non-union positions all of a sudden organized and became union positions. Like the building commissioner was never a union position, now it's in a union. And it was a lot of things going on. And I think what Tom was talking about is when eventually, you know,
As they do
a
in the
truce
A-
kind of came as
Two
to.
contracts, the A and the B contract.
Yeah, because what the personal wage board used to do is a lot of the work for the non-union people. And there are very few of those now. I'm not sure how many.
Is it 8 or
I know a
9?
lot of them have now, you know, steel workers unions and things like that. Those are, some of those are the different clerical positions that you guys voted on their contracts this year. So, you know, you may want to sit down with Bill Keegan and really see how he's been integrating that with
Okay, we can do that.
non-union people.
Okay. All right, I think we're done with that. Thank you, Frank.
All right, you're very welcome.
So I'll be shooting a note to Larry, that's 24 minutes. So, any other business, any other discussion?
Yeah, was there supposed to be a presentation on the meals tax policy that was being discussed, or is that?
So that got sent out, it's not, that'll be later that we have that discussion, so we're not ready for that yet.
Okay.
Right, some
So that-
policy stuff got
is that
sent
a
out.
commission's policy, it's not actual funding, because that's not gonna go for the town meeting for next.
It's,
for
I'll
special
be
town
honest,
meeting fall?
Tom, I got it today in the mail and I was driving up from Connecticut, so I am not sure.
I think how long I've been kicking around.
Yeah. I mean, you know, the discussion's been kicking around all the way since the town meeting, right?
Right.
I mean, that prompted a lot of discussion, so I think they're coalescing around an idea of how to formalize that, and something just got sent out today, so not ready to address that yet.
Okay.
Before we adjourn, we have some members who are not coming back. Is that true? Can you raise your hand or hands?
I believe that's me.
Okay,
I
well,
don't know if anybody.
Tom as well, so thank you both for
Yeah.
all the hard work.
Yep.
It's been good. I know you in particular spent a lot of time doing good work for the town, so I appreciate that, but you as well.
Yeah.
I learned a lot about the police and fire from you, so thank you.
Yep.
And we would be thanking Larry and Bernard, but, you know, unfortunately, they're not. So
Already gone.
They're already partying.
And thank you for
Try
coming.
to make
try to.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So we could vamp for another 45 minutes and hope Bernard makes it, or somebody could move to adjourn.
I got a quick question, though. How many new members are coming on at this
Ooh.
point?
That's a good one.
There's the man to ask.
That's a good question, I'll let you know in August.
Okay. Is that our next meeting, is August or September?
No, hopefully next meeting will be until September.
Okay,
I will, the selectmen already talking about having a fall town meeting,
okay.
so, you know, new leadership.
Yep.
will, keep in contact with, you know, Bill, Keegan.
Yep.
John's, see how, what's gonna be on the warrant for the fall. And, see when they think, you know. Usually try to represent September.
So just, the guy from FCA is back there gesturing.
He can't hear you.
Yeah, he can't hear you.
The microphone.
Just repeat
Sorry, we're so close to adjourning, Frank.
So subtle.
You just threw me back in. That's right. Threw me back in.
While you're there.
line.
What was the question again?
Well, so I would note, I mean, we're legally, the bylaw says we should have 15 people, right?
Yeah,
And that, I don't know when the last time we had 15 people on the committee was,
it's
but
been a while.
your intent is to look for people and.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, typically 5 people come off, and 5 new people come on each year, you know, and cycle people through. But, you know, usually during 3-year term, you can lose a person or two.
Yeah.
you know, and I'm always trying to replace them, and trying to find 5 new people. I already have a few people I've already talked with that are very interested in it, but if anyone has anyone that may be interested, I'd love to hear from them.
Yeah.
Yep,
All right, is Frank done now?
I think so.
Yes, sir.
Move to adjourn?
Adjourned.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Okay. Thank you, Frank.
Thank you again, everyone.
Thanks, Frank.
House of